Hey everyone, it's Jason from GameRaveTV, otherwise known as Danger Boy, and this is Pause Mode. Now this episode of Pause Mode we're going to do a little bit of nostalgia talking because I just happened to grab this guy off my shelf. Ooh. This is Samurai Shodown, and this is an actual Neo Geo cartridge for the arcade. For those of you that have never seen an arcade, or for that matter, a home version of the Neo Geo cartridges, these puppies are so big they have 2 circuit boards in there. Samurai Shodown has always been one of my favorite games, even when it was still in the arcade. A friend of mine and I used to play it at a comic book shop on our way home from school, and I dropped the cartridge. She's okay. She's okay. Durability. Gotta love it. So, back to Samurai Shodown. It's a one-on-one fighting game on the Neo Geo, and it took place in medieval Japan, swords, samurais, all that good stuff. The reason I bring it up for the pause mode is not for the Neo Geo version, but for the Sega CD version, because it's one of the few times in gaming history where the same game has come out on the same system twice from 2 different companies. Let's get to it. Now, the cartridge version was released by Takara and programmed by Saurus. It was a really well done port. Obviously, it had missing frames and some music issues, but they did do a fairly good job. You still had the referee, you still had the good old fighting combos. You really didn't notice the missing animations unless it was for some of the bigger characters. Overall, a good job. So when JVC, who obviously was trying to support the Sega CD XI, came with their version, some weird things took place. The first big difference was that it actually had the opening animation from the Neo Geo, which had Hamaru sitting there chopping up the 2 lamps in the tree. When you got to the main game, the big huge right away, like, whoa, what just happened over there, between the Genesis version was that you now had both players on the screen again in single player mode, and instead of Earthquake's missing box, you had Amaxa. Is that Amakusa? Amaxa? We'll say Amaxa. Now, the big difference between the 2 you'd hear from the Sega CD, obviously, is the music. Where the Genesis had its cartridge-based music, the Sega CD was playing Redbook audio from the Neo Geo CD version straight off the disc. When you got to the fighting, the Sega CD version is actually weird. It gave you more, but took away stuff too. As far as what's missing on the Sega CD, it's still missing some frames of animation and obviously some color here. You can't get past that on the Genesis. But the referee's gone. He went home. He took a vacation. It's all good. He's there in the Genesis version. But where the Sega CD version shines are the graphics. Like, if you want to see a crazy discrepancy between 2 teams working on the same game, play these 2 together. The Sega CD version adds back a whole bunch of detail that went missing. There's better color handling. There's better shading. On the Genesis version, you can see that they abuse the copy and paste function for some of the sprites and so forth. One of the biggest differences on Nakaruru's winter stage. On the Genesis, it looks like there's basically frozen water that they're fighting on, where on the Sega CD, it's a nice smooth gradation of the snow. The porch looks completely different and better too. Now, what's nice is the game does support the 6-button controller, so it actually plays like true Street Fighter. You don't have to worry about trying to hit 2 buttons together to do this stupid special move. Now, most importantly is the gameplay, and it is intact. Like I said, I own this on the Neo Geo CD, the Sega CD, and I had the other 2 versions at one point, but sold them off. The game does hold true to its roots, and if you really have no way to get the Neo Geo CD version or the Neo Geo home or arcade version outside of emulation, this is actually your next best bet. It truly was a feat getting this on the Genesis, especially after seeing how neutered some of the other fighting games were at the time, like Street Fighter Championship Edition's voice and color, and Mortal Kombat's bizarre color losses. The only real downfall actually doesn't even come from the game, it comes from the actual price. It's fairly collectible, but not so much in demand. You can usually grab a complete, good condition copy from, I've seen as low as $15 to as high as $40 to $45 based on the disc condition. Speaking of disc condition, so I know there's a lot of fear about, bit rot and so forth and blah, blah, blah. And when I was going for a complete Sega CD collection, I really didn't, I shouldn't say I didn't care about condition. I did care about condition, but so long as it was complete and the manual and back artwork were perfect, I could always, resurface the CDs and so forth. And a while ago, I bought a huge lot of, when I say a while ago, I mean like years ago. I bought a lot, and only until recently did I start actually playing through some of the games. You want to talk about lucky? This is my copy of Samurai Shodown. If you look on the disc, this isn't bit rotted. They must have accidentally scratched it with a nail or something, because there's a whole bunch of just scratches all over the disc. But if you look right here, I don't know if you guys will be able to see this or not. Yeah, right there. that is an actual hole in the disc. Like, you can see through it, here's my finger, etc. Now, normally with a hole like that, you wouldn't be able to read the date on the disc. I say how lucky I am because here's the hole. The data on the disc ends right here. I've played through this a couple of times. Like, no need to replace it. You know what? I mean, this is really scratched up. I would actually have this resurfaced. I'm fine with resurfaced discs, but I'm afraid that that would actually get torn up in the machine and just completely ruin the CD. But it just goes to show you, sometimes a little hole in the disc ain't that bad. All right, guys, that does it for this week's pause mode. Next week, we'll do something PlayStation-wise. It'll be great. Just to give everyone a heads up, some crazy things going on in the background here at Game Rave. I'm actually going to be collaborating with a bunch of friends that I usually have coffee with, and we'll be doing a podcast hosted by one of my friends. And it's just basically me and 3 or 4 other people just talk around, you know, shooting the breeze, etc. So I'll bring up the speed on that once it's up and running. And 2, for our Patreon followers, I'm hoping next week to have a rough draft sneak peek of the book project for you guys exclusively. That being said, guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. If you're in Chicago, get outside. The sun's awesome. Take care, you guys.